All right, so Ralph is confronting Brad and finding out that he's lonely because he misses his mom, who doesn't live with him anymore. Suddenly, Brad laughed. The first time Ralph had ever heard him laugh. I, I, I don't believe this, he said. A mouse giving me advice. A mouse telling me what to do. Ralph's feelings were hurt. Don't believe it then, he said, remembering his motorcycle. Ah, don't be mad. Brad was sorry he had hurt Ralph's feelings. Let's be friends. Why should we? Asked Ralph in his coldest squeak. You wanted to make the maze too hard. You pushed my friend and broke my motorcycle. Why should we be friends? Because... Brad began, and then he stopped. Look, I didn't know Ryan had a motorcycle in his pocket, or you either. I thought he was rich. Ah, never mind what I thought. Was that really your motorcycle? Yes, it was, Ralph spoke in his angriest voice. A boy gave it to me. Wow, breathed Brad. A mouse with a motorcycle. Can you ride it? Not when it's broken. Now put me down and go eat your lunch. I need a little rest. Mice are supposed to be nocturnal, you know, and I need my sleep in the daytime. Miss Kay locked the door, Brad reminded him. And you shouldn't be running around the halls where you can get stepped on. No problem. I can go under the door. Will you talk to me again? Asked Brad, as he used the hand knot in the sling to set Ralph on the floor. Maybe, maybe not. It all depends. With that non-committal reply, he flattened himself and slipped under the door into the classroom. Inside, he entered what had become his home away from home, Melissa's boot. He felt he had only dozed off when Ryan's hand closed around him. Gotcha, said Ryan. Aw, put me down, snarled Ralph, needing his rest. Brad was right, said Ryan. I didn't think you'd come back, but he said he found you and you talked to him. The class began to return and to crowd around Ryan. Yay, you found him! Miss Kay, Ralph's safe! Where should we keep him? We can't let him get caught in a trap. Traps, snapped Ralph. You think I'm stupid? Only Ryan and Ralph understood him. Everybody else heard squeak, squeak, squeak. Let's put him in the fishbowl for the time being, said Miss Kay. Oh, no, groaned Ralph. Not again. I think Ralph likes more privacy, said Ryan. Well, there's that old mitten that's been lying around, said Melissa. He could have it to sleep in. In spite of his struggles, Ralph found himself once again in the fishbowl, this time with the old mitten. Furious with Ryan for not managing to save him from this indignity, he crawled into the thumb where he thought mean thoughts about everyone in room 5. Just before the last bell rang, Ryan set a bottle cap full of water in the fishbowl, along with the corner of a granola bar Miss Kay had given him. Now take it easy. You stay here where you're safe tonight, and tomorrow we'll get you out of here, I promise. Ralph was still angry and refused to come out of the mitten's thumb to answer. Later, when Mr. Costa came in to sweep the room, he listened to the radio sing a mournful song about a lonely truck driver in jail who longed for his 18-wheel rig in the open road of the highway. All I want is 2 wheels, thought sad and lonely Ralph. And that is the end of chapter 8. And we're going to keep rolling, page 139, chapter 9, The Surprise. The next morning, Mr. Tanner, the principal, reported to Miss Kay, and then Miss Kay reported to her class that no mice had been caught in Mr. Costa's traps. Yay! Cheered room 5. Told you so, said Ralph from the mitten thumb, but nobody heard him. Miss K wrote the proper form of a business letter instead of a friendly letter on the blackboard because the class was not planning to write friendly letters to the Cucaracha Village Voice. The class set to work writing to the editor, explaining the story he had published about the mouse exhibit was not true. And if someone had trouble spelling a word, that person asked Miss K about it. She then wrote the word on the blackboard in case somebody else wanted to use it. Outrageous and ridiculous were the first words she wrote. She told Brad, "Yes, blockhead is one word, but can't you find a better way of expressing yourself?" Miss K promised personally to deliver the letters to the paper during lunch. No matter how many people spoke to him that day, Ralph refused to come out of the mitten thumb, which fortunately had already had an excellent peephole. He noticed that Brad, who still had his hurt arm in a sling, handed a note to Miss K, who handed it back to him with a nod and a big smile. He saw Ryan pass a note to Brad, and Brad pass a note back. Quite a busy bunch, thought Ralph. He was bored and much too warm, but he refused to give anyone the satisfaction of seeing him in his glass prison. When the long, miserable day ended, Ralph found himself being pulled out of the mitten by Ryan. "Come on, fella. You're going back to the inn," he said. "And see all my relatives without my motorcycle? No, thank you," squeaked Ralph. "Relax. You can't live at school forever," said Ryan through his teeth as he tried not to move his lips. "Trust me. Everything's going to be all right. You'll see." Because Ryan kept his hand closed around him, Ralph had no choice. He had to trust Ryan unless he bit him instead. And he decided against doing so because Miss K said hurting people did not solve anything. Ryan shoved Ralph into his jacket pocket and closed the zipper all the way. Even so, Ralph was aware that something unusual was happening. Brad got on the school bus with Ryan after saying to the driver, "Here's my note from home," and the two boys sat together. "Have you got it?" asked Ryan. "Yep," answered Brad. "Right here in my pocket." "Got what?" Ralph wondered. "The broken pieces of my motorcycle." "Man, I've always wanted to ride on a school bus," said Brad. "And I always wanted to ride on a tow truck," said Ryan. "That's easy," said Brad. "My dad'll give you a ride. He gets lots of calls up your way when the roads are icy, and he pulls a lot of cars out of the snowbanks. Business is good for him this time of year." "I'll ask the cook if you can stay for dinner," asked Ryan. "Wow, dinner in a hotel." Brad was impressed. "Yeah, but we'll have to eat in the kitchen," Ryan explained. "And since the hotel's got a microwave, sometimes the plates are hot and cold. Ugh. And since the hotel uses a microwave, sometimes the plates are hot and the food isn't. That's okay. My dad cooks mostly hamburgers and opens up cans of beans." Then, not wanting Ryan to think him disloyal to his father, he said, "But my dad makes good hamburgers. On Sundays he cooks a steak. Sometimes, if he's really busy, I get my own supper. Then I have hot dogs." "You mean you stay alone?" asked Ryan. "Well, I have Arfie, my dog, with me," said Brad. "Oh, man, I wish I could stay alone with the dog. I get tired of hearing the waitresses tell the cook the guests are complaining because the food's not hot enough." Ralph resented being imprisoned by a zipper, and the conversation was boring because it was not about him. He thought about biting his way out, but he didn't like the taste of nylon. Besides, The school bus was not a good place to hide. When the two boys got off the bus, Ralph heard their feet crunch through the snow. The inn was at a higher altitude than the town of Cucaracha, and the snow lasted longer up here. Then he heard their feet stamp up the steps, scratch on the doormat, and enter the lobby. The old clock was still managing its familiar slow tick, tock, tick, tock. To Ralph, it sounded like a trusted old friend. "Well, hello there, boys," said Ralph's protector, good old Matt. "Ryan, glad to see you got a friend." So Matt had not lost his job after all. Then, as Ralph had hoped, the little mice must have moved upstairs, where they wouldn't be able to taunt him about losing his motorcycle. Feeling more cheerful, Ralph began to jump around in the slippery pocket. "Let me out! Let me out!" he demanded. Ryan unzipped his pocket and lifted Ralph out, but still held on to him. Ooh, how good the lobby looked! A fire still burned in the old stone fireplace, and the grandfather clock and TV set were right where they had always been. One thing was different. The lobby was neater than Ralph remembered. The ashtrays were clean and the old magazines arranged neatly on tables. The desk clerk ignored the boys, who did not stop to remove their jackets before they knelt in front of the clock. "Do you think it'll fit?" Ryan asked Brad. "We'll see in a second." Brad pulled something out of his pocket. And that is where we're going to stop. We'll see you with the next section a little bit later.